This is just seed talc, nothing really, well, I'm sure it will kill me and cause cancer at some point. And my family can bring a lawsuit against American Seed Flow lubricants, but it's just a powder to help the seed move through the plateless system on here. Okay, I have done the required road check here, which means you just put a few kernels of seed in each hopper, run on a hard surface so you can verify before you get started that everything is working okay, and you can see the corn here in each row. Yeah, I've got a monitor on there, but you know, the first of the season, you don't always trust everything to work. Maybe a mouse has gotten in somewhere and chewed a wire or built a nest in the seed box itself. And rather than get off the tractor and dig through the dirt and look for these kernels, it's just easier to drop the planter on a hard surface, drive about 15 or 20 feet, and verify you've got seed coming out of each unit. So that I have. So I'm ready to plant corn. It's going to be a great day. We had a little bit of rain overnight. It was less than 2/10 of an inch. Well, actually, let's walk over here to the gauge and look. Yeah, 1/10 here. I had 0.15 at my house. That's on top of the 2 inches we had over the weekend. A 3-day span, we had 2 inches of rain, but it was much needed. Highs in the, I think, upper 70s to low 80s today, but by the weekend, 95 degrees. So it's getting hot, so it's time to get this corn planted so it'll pop right out of the ground and grow. So let's do it. I was going to say, Houston, we have a problem, but Houston is no longer responsible for our problems in space. Isn't it Elon Musk who is now taking us to space and back? So I'm going to say, Elon, we've got a problem. Here on the corn planter, yeah, I've got a pin here that is missing. This is on the lift cylinder that lifts the entire planter up. I noticed the last 2 times on the end when I was lifting, something just didn't look right. So I got off the tractor to look, and yeah, that pin has come out of there. So I've got to figure out a way to get the planter to stay up in order to put a new pin in there. I've got an idea. So I've got to go to the shop and get a pin and get some tools for my idea. See, this side here has got the pin still in position, but the other side does not. Wow, that's a large pin, so hopefully I've got something that large at the house. We'll see. Or at the shop, rather. Yeah, okay.
Really sounds like Nick is off to a great start in Quebec. Some nice conditions. We're going to find out what listeners making out in Ontario. When we come back, you're listening to Real Ag Radio. It's the Farmer Rapid Fire here on Rural Radio 147. Sirius XM Volume presents Bright Futures, the ultimate graduation music hit. A summary mix of songs to help you soak up the sun. So Eric, on top of working with Cloud Review, you also
I've got a bent snowplow pin. That should work, right?
The biggest thing that we use field for whenever we try out a new product, at the end of the year, we want to know what the impact is on the bottom line. So whether we're comparing varieties of soybeans, recorded.
I had another large pin here, but it does not have a hole on this end to hold it in place. So until I can get a proper replacement, this snowplow pin will have to work.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio here for the Rapid Fire. We now take it from the Rapid Fire into Brownsville, Ontario. We're talking to Kevin Buchner. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Doing great. So how are you making it with planting?
Good. We wrapped it. I think I cut hay and for a couple of hay fields. We got We're done for now until some different cut off.
Yeah, we were hearing from MVP Johnson.
Where's my easy button? That was easy. As long as that pin holds. All right, let me finish this field. This field is a bit wet. I've planted my higher, sandier ground on this farm. No issues there. It was almost perfect conditions, but this field here, here's where I noticed I was having a problem. On the end, when I was raising the planter up, that one wheel was dragging until it caught and it was pushing against the frame and finally raised up. And after about the second or third one I saw of this, I thought, At first I just attributed it to this field being too wet, but then I thought, no, it's not that wet. So I did walk down the field. On the first place I noticed it started dragging on this end, I walked the entire length of the field and back, hoping I could find the old pin, but I did not find it. But it's in this field somewhere. Nope, that's just mud. Yeah, it's in this field somewhere. Maybe I'll run across it. Okay. I'm gonna finish. As I said, this field is a little bit too wet, but I've got to work at the hardware store tomorrow. I've got 2 employees off, and then I'll be back on this farm and finish it up on Saturday. But this is the type of ground, with the weather that we've got the next couple of days going into the 90s, this will go to concrete in like 2 days with these temperatures in the 90s. So I'm going to go ahead and plant it, even though it is a little bit on the wet side. It's closing the track without a problem. Okay, let me move the truck out of my way and keep on getting on. Well, this is the first time I have pulled this hunk out this year. I've only got about 10 acres that I've got to disc up. It's just a wet field that, in order to get it to dry out, I just have to disc it up to get it to air out some. I want to plant corn there. I know it's late, but I have corn on the rest of the farm, so I just want to keep it all together. So I'm going to go over and see if I can get stuck. I'm sure I'm not going to get through all of it, because this is just a wet field. It's the type of land that it is on this particular farm. It just stays wet most of the time, but this is about the driest it's going to get, so let me go make a mess. I'm glad I checked this before I got to the field. Last fall, I put new hydraulic hoses on this disc. I replaced all of them. Well, I haven't used it since then. Well, I've got one hose, or 2 hoses hooked up backwards. All right, so watch what happens when I go the other way. It lets one down and picks one up. That's not what it's supposed to do. So let me go fix the 2 hoses, switch them around, so I can go play in the mud. Oh yeah, I see what I need to do here. This hose, yes, this hose needs to go here, and this hose needs to go here. So that's an easy fix. I can do that. Just let me get a couple of wrenches. Let's see what happens now. Ah, yes, that's what it's supposed to do. That was easy. All right. Let's do it. Okay, here's one field of corn here. Now this is on some sandier ground, so it doesn't look too bad. I won't show you the bad stuff. I just put some glyphosate on this corn this morning. I've got a few morning glories, a little bit of grass coming through, so went ahead and shot it with some glyphosate. I think next week I'll go ahead and put another shot of, maybe 2 shots of nitrogen on it. I'll see what that nutrient management plan calls for. The corn on the lower ground on this farm isn't looking quite as good. I had, what did I have? About an inch of rain on top of it within 24 hours of planting it. It was already a little bit wet, the ground was, so I knew that wasn't going to help, but I think it's okay. I don't have to replant it. It's just going to take a little bit longer to catch up to this. Yep, you see the mud on the front tire there? This pass isn't too bad. But that next pass is going to be wet. Not on this end as much as the other end. And that first pass over there was a little bit wet, but I'll muddle my way through this. Well, okay, I've got 96%, well, no, maybe 98% of it gone over. A few places I just couldn't get through, mainly the drainage areas. So I'm going to let this dry out probably a day, although there is a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon. But if we don't get these thunderstorms this afternoon, I'll come back over here tomorrow, probably with the mulcher, and hit it again, and it should be ready to plant. Some of you are going to say, why don't I speed the hydraulics up so those wings lift a little faster? Well, the design on these tractors were not that great. The concept was good. You know, these things here, you move back and forth to adjust the hydraulic flow. Well, what happens, this is a piece of plastic inside of with a metal rod inside of it that twists, goes down to the valves below the tractor. Well, what happens, these cables over time get stiff, and then this piece of plastic just kind of moves around that rod, and so it doesn't adjust inside the cab. Then you got to get underneath of the cab and make an adjustment under there with a wrench. I've got the wings hooked to the number 2 valve. That is also what I hook my snowplow angle to. And I don't want that snowplow angle to be too quickly. I've got the speed set pretty good for the snowplow, so I just leave it sit there and spend an extra 12 seconds waiting for the wings to fold up. I've got 12 seconds in my life to wait. I'm not in that big of a hurry. Well, I'm just like a woman because I changed my mind. I did not bring the mulcher over here. I brought the field cultivator instead. And it's doing okay. I looked at this again, and I didn't have a lot of grass on here, so I figured the field cultivator was going to do the job. And it has dried out nicely. Where I was making tracks through here yesterday and could barely get through it, I'm going through without a problem today. I had originally hooked the field cultivator to the 7140. Well, I got it hooked up. The darn thing just, it would not go down. I've got some kind of issue with that 3-point hitch. I don't use it that often on that tractor. And I vaguely remember the last time I used it, I had a slow response. Well, this go round, there was no response. That hitch just was not dropping. So what I had to do was just leave the tractor sit for about an hour, and eventually that hitch, you know, lowers down. And so then once I did that, it lowered down. I got it disconnected from the tractor and hooked it up to the John Deere. So there's some error codes on there. I've got to go figure out what exactly they mean and what the issue is. My guess is down on the 3-point hitch on the bottom, I think there's 2 sensors on either arm for depth and load control, and maybe those sensors have gone bad. It seems like I replaced one of those years ago, and it wasn't cheap then. It was, I want to say, $250 for that sensor. So my God, with today's new inflation number out at 8.7%, and that was 15 years ago, hell, that sensor's probably $550 today. Plus you got to add a fuel surcharge and freight surcharge and Biden surcharge, and yeah, let's go, Brandon. Just replanting a little bit of corn this morning. I don't know, I've got maybe 5, 6, 7 acres in this field. When I planted it, it was just a little too wet for no-tilling, but we were expecting more rain, so I planted it, and then I think that evening, in the next 24 hours, we got over an inch of rain. And this is heavy ground, and in these low spots here where it was just a little bit wetter, that corn just did not do what it needed to do. So here I am out here replanting. Yeah, I told you it was a little bit wet when I planted, and yeah, I almost got stuck here. But I kept going, oh, whoa. I kept going back and forth until I finally got out of there. I didn't need anyone to come pull me out.